Rain hammered the convoy like bullets. 3 black SUVs cut through the Connecticut night, headlights slicing the dark. Inside the lead vehicle, Kang Jin-soo sat perfectly still. His white shirt was spotted with blood, not his. The driver kept his eyes forward. The guard in the passenger seat hadn't looked back once in 40 minutes. They knew better. Jin-soo's hands rested on his knees. Clean, steady, the hands of a man who just ended a negotiation permanently and felt nothing about it. They called him the Sovereign. The Eastern Seaboard's underworld answered to him. Politicians, judges, police commissioners. When Jin-soo nodded, men died. When he waved his hand, problems disappeared. He was 45 years old. He hadn't raised his voice in a decade. He hadn't needed to, and he hadn't shed a tear since he was 5. The convoy turned onto the private road leading to his Greenwich estate. 12,000 square feet, 16 armed guards, motion sensors, thermal cameras. A fortress, but inside that fortress, something had already gone wrong. 6 hours earlier, Maya Thornton's phone buzzed during her shift. She was polishing silver in the butler's pantry when she saw the number. Willow Creek Memory Care. Her stomach dropped. "Miss Thornton, this is Director Phillips. I'm calling about your grandmother." Maya closed her eyes. "What happened? Is she okay?" "She's fine, but we have a situation." A pause. "The facility is closing. Emergency code violations. We've lost our license effective 72 hours from now." 72? Maya gripped the counter. "That's 3 days. Where am I supposed to?" "I'm sorry, truly. We're helping families find alternative placements, but given your grandmother's financial situation, given that Medicare barely covered half, given that Maya's savings were gone, given that every decent facility had a 6-month wait list." "I understand," Maya said. Her voice didn't shake. She'd learned not to let it. She hung up. Stared at the silver in her hands. 3 days. No money, no options, no family except a brother doing 15 years upstate. And then Maya did something stupid, something desperate, something that would change everything. She drove to Willow Creek on her dinner break, signed her grandmother out for a family visit, and brought her back to the Kang estate. "Just one night," Maya whispered, settling Dolores into an empty storage room in the servants' wing. "Just until I figure something out. Stay here, okay? Stay quiet." Dolores looked up at her with those foggy eyes. Some days she knew Maya, some days she didn't. Today she smiled. "You worry too much, baby girl." "I know, Grandma." Maya kissed her forehead. "I know." Night fell. Maya was summoned upstairs to prepare the master's suite. Mr. Kang was returning from a business trip. Everything needed to be perfect. She stripped the bed, laid fresh sheets, checked the temperature of the room. Tried not to think about her grandmother alone downstairs. Meanwhile, Dolores got restless. The storage room was too dark, too quiet. In the fog of her memory, she wasn't sure where she was or how she'd gotten there. So she did what she always did when she was confused. She wandered, down a hallway, past a kitchen, up a staircase she didn't remember climbing. The house was beautiful, old money beautiful. Dolores ran her fingers along the wallpaper, humming softly to herself. A melody surfaced from somewhere deep. A song she'd heard once a long time ago. She couldn't remember where. She found a door, heavy oak, slightly ajar. The room beyond was dark, lined with books. A massive desk dominated the center. Dolores walked in, sat in the leather chair, and kept humming. Jin-soo's convoy pulled through the gates at 11:47 p.m. He stepped out into the rain. Guards flanked him immediately. The head of household appeared with an umbrella. "Welcome home, sir." "Everything is prepared." Jin-soo nodded once, walked inside. Rain dripping from his coat onto marble floors, his routine never varied. Check the security logs, review the briefing from Young Yi, then his study where he'd spend an hour alone before sleeping. Control, precision, order. He climbed the stairs, turned toward his study, and stopped. The door was open, light spilled from inside, but he hadn't left a light on. No one entered his study, not the cleaning staff, not his guards. No one. His hand went to his hip. The guards behind him raised their weapons. Jin-soo pushed the door open. An old woman sat in his chair. She had silver locks piled atop her head, dark skin, fragile frame beneath a worn cardigan. Her eyes were distant, unfocused. She was humming. Jin-soo heard the melody and his chest seized. His guards moved forward. "Sir, we'll remove." "Stop." The word came out strange, thin. Jin-soo stepped into the room. The guards froze. They'd never heard his voice sound like that. The old woman looked up. Her eyes found his face, and something shifted. Through the fog, through the confusion, Dolores Thornton looked at this man, this stranger, and felt a recognition she couldn't explain. He looked like someone from a long time ago. "Oh," she breathed. "Oh, you have his eyes." Jin-Soo's world tilted. He didn't decide to kneel. His body simply gave way. He collapsed in front of his own men, tears streaming down a face that hadn't shown emotion in 2 decades. His hands reached toward her, trembling. "Who?" His voice cracked, broke. "Who are you?" Behind him, his guards didn't know where to look. This was wrong. This was impossible. The sovereign didn't cry. The sovereign didn't kneel. Footsteps thundered down the hall. Maya burst through the door and threw herself over her grandmother. "Please, please don't hurt her, I'm sorry, she didn't mean to." But Jin-Soo wasn't looking at Maya. He was looking at Dolores. And Dolores, lost in dementia's fog, suddenly found clarity. Just for a moment, long enough, she reached out. Her weathered hand touched his face. "I've been waiting 40 years to find you," she whispered. "I promised your father I would." Silence. The guards didn't move. Maya didn't breathe. Jin-Soo knelt on the marble floor, tears still falling, this impossible old woman's hand on his cheek. "My father," the words scraped out of him. "What do you know about my father?" Dolores's eyes flickered. The clarity was slipping. "He died in my arms, St. Vincent's Hospital, 1984. Her voice grew urgent, fighting the fog. "He gave me a letter for his son. He made me promise. My father abandoned me." Jin-Soo's hands were shaking. "That's what I was told." "He left, he didn't care." Dolores shook her head slowly. "That's not what happened." Her hand dropped from his face. "That's not what happened at all." Jin-Soo leaned forward. "Then what? Tell me, please." But Dolores's eyes went distant. The fog returned, thick and heavy. She looked at Jin-Soo like he was a stranger again, and she began to hum. She didn't remember what she'd just said. She didn't remember any of it. Jin-Soo knelt on the floor of his own study, surrounded by armed men, and he had never felt more powerless in his life. Jin-Soo had spent $30 million over 20 years searching for answers about his father. Every investigator came back empty. Every lead went cold. He'd been told his father was a criminal, a coward, a man who abandoned his son without looking back. But this woman, this confused, elderly woman humming a song his mother used to sing, had just shattered everything he thought he knew. His father hadn't abandoned him. His father had died, and someone had been lying to Jin-Soo his entire life. The question was, who? And more importantly, why? "So here's what I need to know from you." The most dangerous man on the eastern seaboard just collapsed in front of his own men, crying because an elderly woman with dementia touched his face and mentioned his father. What do you think happened? Drop your theory in the comments right now. And here's the real question. Who lied to Jin-Soo about his father? Was it the system, the orphanage, or someone closer? If you think you already know where this is going, drop a fire emoji in the comments. And if this story has you hooked, hit that like button so I know to keep going. All right, let's see if you're right. Because what happened next changed everything, and not in the way anyone expected. Dawn bled gray through the windows. Jin-Soo hadn't slept. He sat in a chair outside the guest suite, still wearing the blood-spotted shirt from whatever he'd done before coming home. That felt like another lifetime now. Inside the suite, Maya watched her grandmother sleep. The room was enormous, 4-poster bed, silk curtains, a bathroom bigger than their entire apartment. The nicest room she'd ever seen. She didn't trust any of it. The door opened. Jin-Soo stood in the frame and Maya tensed. But his face wasn't the mask she'd seen last night. Something had cracked. "You'll stay here," he said, "both of you, as long as necessary." Maya stood slowly. "What do you want from us?" "I don't know." The honesty startled her. Crime lords didn't admit uncertainty. "Devils didn't say I don't know." "She's not well," Maya said carefully. "Her memory comes and goes. You might never get answers." Jin-Soo's jaw tightened. "Then I'll wait." He turned to leave. Maya's voice stopped him. "Your men, they saw you last night. What happens to people who see you like that?" Jin-Soo paused at the door. When he spoke, his voice was distant. "Nothing happens to you, either of you." He left. Maya sank onto the edge of the bed. Her grandmother stirred. Baby girl. Dolores's voice was thin, confused. Where are we? Maya took her hand. Somewhere safe, Grandma, I think. She wasn't sure she believed it. The car arrived at 11. Jinsu watched from the study window as a black sedan pulled through the gates. He knew who it was before the door opened. Chairman Park Sung-ho stepped out. 68 years old, silver hair immaculate, suit tailored to perfection. He moved like a man who owned everything he surveyed, because usually he did. Jinsu had known Park since he was 5. The man had found him in a state orphanage, raised him, trained him, shaped him into what he was. Father figure, the word people used. Jinsu had never called him that, but he'd believed it. Now he watched Park approach the house and something cold settled in his stomach. They met in the foyer. Park smiled warmly, opening his arms. Jinsu, I heard there was some excitement last night. Jinsu didn't move into the embrace. Word travels far. Park's smile flickered barely, then recovered. You know how our world works, nothing stays secret. He studied Jinsu's face. You look tired, is everything all right? An old woman, she knew my father. The words dropped like stones into still water. Park's expression didn't change, but Jinsu had spent 30 years learning to read people. He saw it, the microsecond delay before Park responded. Your father, Jinsu, we've discussed this. Your father was she said he died. In a hospital, not that he left. Silence. Park tilted his head. His voice carried gentle concern, the voice of a mentor correcting a confused student. She's clearly confused. Alzheimer's patients often fabricate memories, mix things up. They can be very convincing, but I want you to meet her. Another pause, longer this time. Of course, Park said smoothly. Whatever puts your mind at ease. They found Dolores in the sitting room, Maya beside her. The old woman was having a difficult morning, anxious, unable to settle. She kept plucking at her cardigan sleeves, eyes darting around the unfamiliar space. Park entered first. Jinsu followed. Maya rose immediately, positioning herself near her grandmother. Mrs. Thornton, Park said, his voice honeyed. I'm a friend of Jinsu's, I just wanted to. Dolores looked up. Her whole body went rigid. I don't. She pressed back into the couch cushions. Maya, who is this man? Park's smile stayed fixed. I'm just here to help, grandmother. There's nothing to... No. Dolores's voice cracked. Her hands trembled violently. Something about your face. I don't like him. I don't like him. She wasn't performing. She didn't recognize him consciously. Maya could see that. But something deeper was reacting. Something her mind had forgotten but her body remembered. Grandma, it's okay. Maya crouched beside her. He's leaving right now. She looked up at Jinsu. Her meaning was clear. Jinsu nodded once. Chairman, Park's mask never slipped. He inclined his head graciously and stepped out of the room. In the hallway he turned to Jinsu. She's clearly disturbed. Perhaps a proper facility would be better for her. I know excellent doctors who she stays. The words were flat, final. Park studied Jinsu for a long moment. Something moved behind his eyes, calculation, reassessment. Of course, he said. Whatever you think is best. He walked toward the door, paused, looked back. Jinsu, your father was not a good man. Whatever this woman has told you, she's confused. Don't let her confusion become yours. He left. Jinsu stood in the foyer, listening to the car pull away. He'd known Chairman Park for 40 years. This was the first time the man had ever sounded afraid. Inside his sedan, Park pulled out his phone. His fingers were steady, his voice was calm. We have a problem. The Thornton woman, she remembers. He listened. No, not yet, but she will. And Jinsu is asking questions I cannot answer. Another pause. Tonight, make it clean, the granddaughter too, if necessary. He ended the call. Through the tinted window, he watched the estate shrink in the distance. 40 years of careful work. 40 years of building Jinsu into the perfect weapon. And now an old woman with a failing mind was going to destroy everything, unless he destroyed her first. Jinsu summoned Seo Young-yi within the hour. His head of security arrived with a tablet and a careful expression. Young-yi had seen Jinsu cry last night. He hadn't mentioned it. He never would. I need you to find everything about a patient at St. Vincent's Hospital in 1984, Jinsu said. Korean male, died of injuries. No next of kin notified. Young-yi's brow furrowed. That's 40 years ago. Records might be. Find them. No room for argument. Young-yi nodded and left. 2 days passed. Dolores drifted in and out of clarity. Some hours she knew Maya, some hours she didn't. She kept asking about the man in the suit, Park, though she couldn't remember his name. I've seen him before, she told Maya. A long time ago, at the hospital, or was it the funeral? It's all tangled. Maya held her hand and said nothing. But she was beginning to understand that her grandmother's broken memories were the only thing keeping them alive. Young Yi returned on the third morning. Hospital admission, March 1984. Young Yi's voice was neutral, but his eyes kept flicking to Jin Soo. Korean male, age 32, severe blunt force trauma. He was DOA dead on arrival, but they tried to save him anyway, kept him going for almost 6 hours. Jin Soo stared at the documents, his father's name typed on a form 40 years ago. The treating nurse. Young Yi pointed to a signature. Dolores Thornton. Silence filled the study. She was telling the truth, Jin Soo said quietly. She was there when he died. He stood abruptly. Where is she now? He found Dolores in the garden. She was having a good hour, lucid, present, watching the roses sway in the wind. Maya sat beside her reading. Jin Soo approached slowly, lowered himself onto the bench across from them. Mrs. Thornton. His voice was hoarse. I need you to tell me what happened, please, I need to know. Dolores looked at him. Her eyes were clear, clearer than they'd been since the first night. You deserve to know, she said. I've been carrying it so long. She took a breath. They brought him in at 3 a.m. Beaten so badly I thought he'd die before we got him to the bed. But he held on, Lord, he held on. I'd never seen anyone fight like that. 6 hours. He should have been gone in the first 20 minutes, but he kept fighting. He knew he had something to finish. What? Jin Soo leaned forward. What did he have to finish? Dolores's eyes glistened. He grabbed my hand right before the end. His grip was so weak, but he wouldn't let go. He said, I have a son, a little boy, 5 years old. Someone has to tell him the truth. Jin Soo stopped breathing. He gave me a letter, a gold pendant, a photograph of him holding a baby, holding you, I think. He said, find my son, tell him his father loved him, tell him I didn't abandon him. Tell him I died trying to protect him. Tears streamed down Jin Soo's face. He didn't wipe them. He told me where they were going to dump his body. He begged me to make sure someone found him so he could have a proper burial. And did you? Jin Soo's voice broke. Did anyone find him? Dolores's face crumpled. I was so scared. The next day men came to the hospital, the men who hurt him. They found me. They said if I talked, they'd kill my daughter. She was sobbing now, 40 years of guilt pouring out. I buried the letter, the pendant, everything. I've kept the secret my whole life. Every year I told myself I'd find you. Every year I was too afraid. She reached across the space between them, took Jin Soo's face in her weathered hands. I'm so sorry I didn't save you. Jin Soo broke. He didn't collapse this time, but he knelt before her again and let her hold his face while he wept. The most dangerous man on the eastern seaboard, crying in a garden, held by the woman who'd cradled his father as he died. Later, alone in his study, Jin Soo sat with the truth. His father hadn't abandoned him. His father had been murdered. His father had loved him. His father had died trying to protect him. Everything he'd believed about himself, the rage, the violence, the conviction that he came from worthless blood, was built on a lie. But someone had told him that lie. Someone had found a 5-year-old boy in an orphanage and whispered poison in his ear. Your father was a criminal, a coward, a man who abandoned you without looking back. Someone had shaped that boy's hatred into a weapon. Jin Soo's hands curled into fists. Chairman Park had found him 3 months after his father died, 3 months. And Park had known, had always known, exactly what kind of man Jin Soo's father really was. Jin Soo understood the shape of the lie now. 40 years ago, his father was murdered. The killers covered it up. And someone who knew exactly what happened, found a grieving 5-year-old and filled his head with stories about his worthless, abandoning father. That someone became his mentor, his guardian, the man who made him. Chairman Park hadn't saved Jin Soo from a terrible fate. He had created Jin Soo's fate, on purpose. The devil had been forged in a lie, and the blacksmith was still alive. But Jin Soo didn't know that Park had already made a phone call, already set something in motion. Because Chairman Park had spent 40 years building Jin Soo into a weapon, and now that weapon was pointed at him. Park only knew one way to solve that problem. Dolores Thornton had to die. Tonight, okay, I have to stop here because this is insane. Chairman Park, the man Jin-soo has trusted his entire life, is the one who killed his father, and now Park is coming for Dolores. What would you do if you were Jin-soo? Do you expose Park publicly, confront him directly, or do you wait, plan, and strike when he doesn't expect it? And here's what I really want to know. Do you think Jin-soo will choose revenge, or will he choose to protect the people who gave him the truth? Because I'm not sure he can do both. Drop revenge or protect in the comments. I want to see what you think. And if this story has you on the edge of your seat, hit subscribe so you don't miss how it ends. All right, here's what happened next. And I promise you it's not what either of us expected. The attack came at 2 a.m. Jin-soo was in his study planning tomorrow's confrontation with Park when the first window shattered. Young Yi burst through the door. It's Park's people. They knew our patrol routes. They're heading for the guest wing. Jin-soo's blood went cold. Dolores, they fought through the house. Jin-soo's men were outgunned. Park had built this security system. He knew every weakness, every blind spot, every gap in coverage. A bullet caught Jin-soo in the shoulder. He didn't slow down. They reached the guest wing corridor. Bodies on the floor, his men, Park's men. The door to Dolores's suite had been barricaded from inside. It was splintering. Jin-soo raised his weapon. The door exploded inward. Maya stood in front of her grandmother. In her hands, a cast iron pan from the kitchenette, her knuckles white around the handle. The first attacker came through the door. He dropped. Maya's voice didn't sound like hers. It sounded ancient, furious, unstoppable. Nobody touches her. The second attacker hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. That hesitation was enough. Young Yi's shots cleared the doorway. Jin-soo rushed past, reaching Dolores. The old woman was shaking, terrified, but her eyes were clear. "The address," she whispered. "I remember now. 1847 Lenox Avenue, under the rose bush in the backyard. Your father's letter is there." Jin-soo gripped her hand. "Thank you." They found the buried box 3 hours later. Dolores's old house in Harlem. The rose bush had grown wild, untended for decades. But underneath, wrapped in plastic, preserved against time, a small metal box. Inside, a gold pendant. A photograph, a young Korean man holding an infant, both of them smiling. And a letter handwritten, the ink faded but legible. Jin-soo read it alone. "My son, if you are reading this, then I am gone. But I need you to know I loved you. I did not leave you. I died because I refused to become what they wanted me to be. They will tell you I was worthless. They will try to make you like them. Please, my son, be better than the world they will build around you. Your mother's song will find you. Let it remind you you are loved. You are loved. You will always be loved." Your father, Jin-soo's hands trembled. His father had died refusing to become a monster. And Jin-soo had become exactly what his father died fighting against. The realization didn't hit him like a blow. It settled into him like poison, slow, certain, devastating. 40 years. 40 years of violence. 40 years of becoming the weapon Park had forged him to be, all built on a lie, all a betrayal of everything his father believed. 3 days later, Jin-soo visited Park's home. Alone, Park sat in his study, older than he'd seemed before, smaller. The failed attack had cost him. His men were dead or scattered, his network exposed. "Everything I did for the organization," Park said. His voice carried no apology. "Your father was going to destroy everything we built. He was weak, sentimental. He was going to expose you." Jin-soo's voice was quiet, flat. "You killed him for it. Then you found his son and turned him into your weapon." Park's jaw tightened. "I gave you everything. I made you powerful. I made you. You made me into the thing my father died fighting." Jin-soo met his eyes. "You did it on purpose." Silence. Jin-soo placed a folder on the table. Evidence. Financial records, communications, enough to destroy Park's legitimate businesses and expose every operation he'd hidden behind them. "You have 2 choices. Face justice publicly, let the world see what you really are, or handle this yourself." Park stared at him. "You won't kill me yourself." Jin-soo stood. "My father didn't believe in becoming the monster. I spent 40 years proving him wrong." He walked toward the door. "I won't add your blood to that debt." He left. Chairman Park Sung-ho was found the next morning in his study. The official report called it a heart attack, but Jin-soo knew the truth. Park's pride couldn't survive exposure. The man who spent 40 years controlling everything couldn't bear to lose control of his own story. 6 months later, Dolores lived in the guest suite at the estate, good days and bad days, but she wasn't alone anymore. Maya was finishing her first year of law school, tuition paid anonymously, and Jin-Soo stood before a grave he'd never known existed. His father's headstone, simple, modest. The grave Dolores had finally helped authorities locate, the body that had been dumped 40 years ago, waiting all this time to be found. Jin-Soo placed the gold pendant on the stone. "You died trying to protect me from this world." His voice cracked. "I became the worst part of it." He knelt, the same posture he'd taken before Dolores that first night. "I can't undo what I've done, but I can start doing what you would have wanted. I can start being someone you'd recognize." The sun set behind him, and somewhere in the distance, carried on the evening wind, a melody drifted across the grounds. "They say the devil doesn't cry. They say the devil doesn't kneel. They say the devil doesn't change. But I watched a man who ruled through fear learn that his entire life was built on a lie told by the man he trusted most. I watched him choose truth over power, justice over revenge, transformation over destruction. His father died refusing to become a monster. For 40 years, Jin-Soo became one anyway, shaped by the very man who killed his father. But in the end, the son honored the father. The debt we carry for those who loved us cannot be repaid with power or violence. It can only be honored by becoming worthy of their sacrifice. Jin-Soo couldn't undo what he'd done, but he could start doing what his father would have wanted. He could start being someone his father would recognize. And sometimes, that's enough. That's enough. If this story hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment and tell me your favorite part. Was it the impossible image at the beginning, the devil falling to his knees, Maya with the cast iron pan, the letter, that final scene at the grave? And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because I have more stories like this coming and I don't want you to miss them. Until next time.